Alec Show podcast.
Smart Alec Show, baby!
I'm curious, man. So what's this brand ambassadorship with 35 Ventures like, bro? Because 35 Ventures fascinates me. Like just KD and Rich Kleiman, just the whole business side of what they're doing. Rich Kleiman, I've heard a lot of things about him, just like the agent he is and the person he is. So what's that like, bro?
No, so it's essentially I'm a brand ambassador for Boardroom.
Okay.
So Boardroom is it's a vertical of 35 Ventures. So mainly focusing on just integrating people into the industry of sports, right? So there's so much that goes into the industry of sports these days, right? So that could be whether it's sneaker sales, or you're talking about different technological innovations, or you're talking about whatever these athletes are investing in. So just a platform for people that are invested in the sports industry to come on and just expose people to everything that's going on this multi-billion-dollar industry of sports. So as a brand ambassador right now, I've been charged with just creating a marketing plan to ultimately just spread the image of the Boardroom on my campus and just across I think for me, the goal is the whole Baltimore and, DC metro area. So that's been my goal, not just my campus, but the whole DC Baltimore area. But it's been really cool. Like I've been, to be honest, and I think with situations like these, I would say I'm not the biggest social media person, right? I'm not a social media guru of any sort. I don't post that much either. But the best thing I've done, and the first thing that I actually did to attack, this role, was reaching out to everyone that I knew was right. So I reached out to a girl who goes to my school that I knew was a brand ambassador for other brands like a TikTok, and I believe it was another one in the Towson area. But just reaching out, outsourcing to people who are either expert who are experts in these fields or have kind of done this in the past. So that's always been my thing. I don't like to, sit on my hands and be like, okay, let me just try this. Like I'll make sure to reach out to the 10 people I know who have done it and be like, hey, I don't know nothing about this. Like what are some of the things that you've done? So that's been the main way for me to attack it too.
That's great awareness on your part, bro, because a lot of people, they would maybe waste time or resources, you know what I mean, trying to do something that's really not their strong suit. But you just having the awareness to say like, all right, I know this ain't my thing. And it's not my time to like try and invest in it right now. So I'll reach out to people that I know that are good at it, gain some insight, maybe leverage their talent at that skill. You know what I mean? So respect to you, bro. I think that's a valuable skill, bro. And sometimes I struggle with that in terms of like, I know what my strong suits are, but like maybe I need to outsource other stuff that I'm not as good at. So like, for example, with this podcast, right? Like I'm a great networker, great speaker, we have a good time on the podcast, like great insights or gain from it, good conversation. But then it's like on the back end, the editing, the sound, the audio. I've taken that same approach as you in terms of like, all right, I'm no like beast at this,
Right.
audio engineering. So like I'll go to my buddy who actually works in production and like gain some insights, or like another buddy who knows how to edit the clips. Like, hey, what do you use? What are some tactics? And that's real insightful stuff. You know what I mean? But yeah, bro, that's what's up. That's what's up, bro. So how else do you really like market the Boardroom other than like social media? Like, do you do anything on the ground to kind of gain awareness for it, like on your campus or stuff like that?
Yeah, and that's really the tricky part, right? And it's funny, we actually just started, so we're like 2 weeks in now, coming to, I guess, the end of, I want to say week 2, but
Okay.
it's a tricky thing being in a remote environment where you don't really have that much access to a lot of people on your campus and things of that nature, right? I think a lot of students as well, or they may be worn out from school or internship that they're doing, all these other things. So it's really hard to really capture an audience with something extra that you're putting in their face, and they don't, they're kind of burnt out from everything else. But I think my whole approach, and I was able to talk to a good friend of mine, Maddie, who actually has her own media platform where she specializes in things like this. And this is the type of conversation that we had, like, how do you really attract people or gain attention from people who are burnt out from being on media in general,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, especially in this COVID environment, like you
Right.
said, it's like everyone. I think I really realized it like last spring, right?
Mhm.
It was just like when everything went remote, it was like every brand realized, like, all right, this is the time to hammer like everything digital. And then
Mhm.
everyone got burnt out, you know what I mean? And that still holds true today, especially with school and internships. So it's definitely a challenge, bro, with the whole COVID environment. So respect to y'all for troubleshooting that and still figuring out ways, bro. Have you ever spoken to KD or anything, man?
I have not. I'm waiting for that day. That's why I'm trying to work my ass off here so I can get that opportunity.
From the DC area originally too, right?
Yeah, Katie is from PG County, Maryland, which is my hometown as well. So
Heard.
that's been a really cool part about it.
Yeah, there's a lot of DC talent in the NBA, right? Who else
Yeah.
is DC like? Was it?
Well,
Wasn't Isaiah
you have
DC?
Markel Fultz out in Orlando. You actually have Ant Cowan, who got, he's in the G League right now, but he's a really great talent from the Prince George's County area. The Grant brothers, Jalen and Jerry and Grant, they've been doing a really good job this year. A lot of DC talent, Jeff Green as well, playing on Brooklyn
Yeah.
now too. But yeah, a lot of Quinn Cook, a lot. There's a lot. I could go on and on. There's a lot of talent in the NBA from the DMV, or just the PG County area in general, right? But we have a lot of them.
Yeah. I got some hoopers, man. Y'all definitely y'all's hoop culture runs deep,
Yeah.
man. So were you a big John Wall fan back when he played on Washington?
I'm a huge John Wall fan. A lot of the time, I typically follow players based off of not only the way that they play, but I think looking at personality too, right? When you're talking about a lot of things that they're involved in, whether it's an investment, the people that they surround themselves with, just different things like that. Like I think we had a panel today at Wassermann with four great panelists, and we were just talking about the idea of Black leadership, right? The idea of Black power, and what these athletes are. And one thing that one of the panelists mentioned is we have to kind of get away from this notion that athletes are people who don't have like, stop looking at them as people who don't have like experiences or emotions, right? Like, they're not, athletes aren't machines, right? These are real people.
Real
Just
people.
because they make millions of dollars and they're on TV every day doesn't mean that they're not people. Like, you'll get a random person who gets to have an interaction with a John Wall or just an athlete of any sort, and the first thing that they want to do is just call them a name because they think that'll get their attention, right? So it's something that people, Americans in general, I think is a main thing that, or just people in general, we have to kind of grasp that notion that these are all people at the end of the day. Like, just because you make a lot of money, we're all kind of in the same boat here, right?
No doubt, no doubt. That's a huge point, bro, because I feel like a lot of people don't realize it. Like they put a lot of these athletes or celebrities on a pedestal and treat them as if they're, bigger than that. And they're like fanboy out when they get the chance to meet them. And that's not the way to go about things. You know what I mean? Like they're just people that just want to, live a life and be happy and be treated with respect. You know what I mean? So whenever I do get the chance to like meet an athlete or celebrity, I just try to be respectful and you don't fanboy out and you just treat it as business as usual. You know what I mean? And they appreciate that. So I think
I really like Charles Barkley's commercial that he had a few years ago when he was playing with, he was like, I think it was with Spike Lee, and he's just like, I'm not your role model, right? Like he still holds true to that now. Like, I think athletes maybe, they're role models. They're on TV every time. They're in the media, right? We typically look up to people in the media and things of that nature. But at the same time, a lot of the time you can't rely on an athlete to do everything for your child or for you. Like, where we're all human, right? So I do kind of agree with that commercial that he came out with a few years ago.
yeah, that's very true. Yeah, Charles Barkley, that's just a great dude, bro. Inside the NBA, that's just great television, bro.
Absolutely.
And Kenny, like you can't beat that, bro. Like
Yeah.
I was thinking about that when I was at ESPN. I was like, damn, like you just can't beat what Turner's doing over there with it. Like
And
it's
they're
just
letting them,
genuine, good, funny vibes. You know what I mean? Like it's
they're
just
letting them run. They are
yeah.
letting them run. When Shaq gets on and says, "Hey Charles, I'm gonna come over there and kick your ass," I'm like, man, like they're letting them do this right here. Like it's funny. It's really funny.
But that goes to show is like when you try to control people too much, it ain't gonna work out. Just let them be. And it's kind of like I was listening to a Joe Rogan podcast last night. He's like, Fox tried to do that to him in the earlier days of the UFC, and he was like, nah, like he shut that shit down immediately. It's like you gotta let people be themselves, and in that way they'll thrive the most. You know what I mean? So that like, and fans can always tell. You know what I mean? Like I feel like we're moving towards a more like appreciation for just authenticity and genuine vibes. I mean, as opposed to like scripted BS that gets old and boring.
Right.
Yeah, bro. I'm sure you'll get the chance to meet KD soon, bro. That'll be a moment.
I hope so, man. Fingers crossed for sure.
Yeah. What do you know about Rich Kleiman, man? Because he's interesting to me, right? It's like the dude didn't go to college, but he's built this, business empire within the sports and entertainment realm. He has a lot of big clients, obviously, like KD. They're building some big things, bro. What do you know about his story?
Man, and I've taken some time to really, kind of dig in on his story as well. Of course, when you think about the boardroom and 35 ventures in general, you're typically going to move more towards Kevin Durant, just being the global icon that he is, right? But looking over on the flip side with Rich, and we had the chance for him to hop on to our initial boardroom brand ambassadors chat, and I think it's really just about being a mogul, right? Like he is an absolute business mogul, and when you talk about, you look at all these people who didn't go to college or dropped out early to create something, and I think that's basically what he is someone that had a vision and kind of pushed it through, right? And for someone like KD to trust him with his business and his friendship, that's huge, right? And the one thing that Rich is, or that I look up to him for is, just really being authentic with everything that he does, right? When we got on there, he was like, look, if you have an idea that you want to bring to us, like we're all open to it. And he said this to the whole boardroom brand ambassadors cohort, right? Like if you have an idea, we're open to it. Like the main thing is about pushing the boardroom into another dimension. Like that's what we're about. We're trying to create an environment for young professionals to come in and be innovative and, just create, an environment where we all know about sports. We all know about the different investments that are going on. We all know about, the future of sports and, the things that we're putting forward to create that and help that grow, because sports is going to continue to grow. Like you have things that are continuing to be added. A few years ago, we did not have sports betting, or it was illegal, right? And now it's becoming, such a huge part of the game. A lot more cities are legalizing it. I just saw today that Canada is, pushing to legalize sports betting as well. Like it is becoming huge. And
up, bro, it's blowing up. I'm glad I invested in that DraftKings stock about a year ago. That gave me a nice little return right there. That in a pen, for their barstool. But
sure.
Yeah, bro, it is booming, and I think it's cool that they're bringing an awareness to the business side, the industry that sports is, because I don't know if you felt this way, but like growing up, huge fan, like sports was really big for me in just terms of like developing who I became, right? And something I'm passionate about. But I didn't know there was a whole business behind sports. So you see it on TV, but there's so many roles. There's so much that goes into the behind the scenes of that, and that people never knew about. And that's part of the reason why I did this podcast, is that like when people saw on my LinkedIn, like, oh, you got an internship with ESPN within marketing, like I didn't even know that was a thing. You know what I mean? They thought it was just the broadcaster roles that you see on TV. So it's like the fact that they're bringing an awareness to the whole industry is very cool to me, because the industry is just blowing up from, memorabilia and sports cards. That whole industry is just blowing up, sports betting. And once they bring it to like Florida, Texas, like it's just going to go through the roof, bro. So that's definitely very hype to see, that whole space growing. And it's dope that you're a part of it, bro.
No, and I'm happy to be a part of it, right? Like just resonating with these brands, and that's the biggest thing.
Don't be such a smart Alec.